Welcome to Sleep Tight Frights, the place where bedtime stories don't always end sweetly. I'm Evergrey, your storyteller in the shadows. Each tale is a little strange, a little spooky, and just creepy enough to keep you peeking over the covers. So settle in, close your eyes, but don't fall asleep just yet. Some statues are carved from stone, some from memory, and some from ash. Tonight's story takes us beyond a crumbling wall and into a forgotten garden, one where nothing ever wilts, nothing ever leaves, and no one ever truly fades. But beauty like that always has a price. So if you find yourself in a place that feels too perfect, where time stands still and the wind feels warm, look closely. The statues may be smiling, and one of them may be waiting for you. This is the Ash Garden. Lily didn't mean to find it. She was just walking past the school, past the empty bus stop, past the block with the "For Sale Since 1997" sign rotting into the grass. The wind was dry and tired that day, brushing leaves around like it was bored. So was she. That was the thing about moving in the middle of the school year. Everyone already had someone. Desks were claimed, lunch tables were sorted, even the shy kids had their people. Lily did not here. She kept walking. At the end of the street, past where the sidewalk cracked into weeds, she saw it. A wall, old and covered in ivy, about shoulder height but impossible to see through. It ran along the edge of a massive lot, one the neighborhood must have forgotten. But the strange part? There was a gap. A perfect rectangle where bricks had crumbled down in a clean, unnatural hole, as if something had pushed out from the other side. Lily crouched, peering through. Behind the wall was a garden, or what used to be one. Tall hedges, wildflowers gone rogue, trees knotted in a circle like they were holding something in. There were statues, too, white, gray, and bone pale. Some had moss on their cheeks. One had ivy curling through its ribcage. But none of that was what made her stomach drop. At the center of the clearing, half hidden by overgrown wisteria and broken stone benches, was a dragon. Huge, silent, coiled around a dry fountain like it had been grown from the earth itself. Its wings were half furled, its mouth opened slightly as if caught mid-breath. Stone, she thought. Maybe iron, but something about it shimmered, not brightly, just enough to make her doubt her eyes. And its eyes, they were hollow, but not empty. Lily stepped back, heart hammering. She didn't believe in fairy tales, but she did believe in things that watched when no one else did. Still, she came back the next day, and the next. It wasn't like her mom noticed. The house was still full of moving boxes and adult arguments, spoken in lowered tones. Her dad worked late, always tying up loose ends. She didn't ask what that meant. By the third visit, she brought her sketchbook. The garden was beautiful in a way that felt wrong, like a painting of a place after the people were gone. Not just quiet, abandoned by time. The air smelt faintly of ash and honeysuckle. She climbed through the wall again, careful not to snag her coat on the jagged brick. The dragon was exactly where she left it, waiting. She set up her stool. Her pencils scratched lightly across the page, tracing the curve of its massive tail, the sharp arc of its wings, and the way the vines twisted through its claws. She didn't look directly at the eyes, not yet. She didn't hear the whisper until she shaded in the mouth. "That's very good, Lily." She froze, whipped around. No one, just the rustle of dry grass and bird songs somewhere far off. She stared at the dragon. It didn't move, but just for a second, she could have sworn its nostrils glowed like warm coals under snow. Lily came back the next day. She told herself it was to finish the drawing, but it wasn't. It was the warmth, not from the sun. Gray clouds had rolled in by morning, thick and unmoving, not from her coat, which she barely remembered putting on, but from the dragon, from the garden itself. It made her limbs feel loose, her head quiet. Inside the garden, the world was different. The wind moved slower, the air felt full, like breath that hadn't been let out yet. Every step onto the overgrown path sounded distant, like it wasn't hers. She approached the dragon again, stopping just short of its front claw. It was easily 10 feet tall at the shoulders. Even crouched, its wings stretched high above the ruined fountain, heavy with ivy and spiderwebs. Its scales weren't really stone, she realized. Not exactly. They had a layered texture, like fused metal and scorched wood. Some looked polished, some were scorched black, as if singed from the inside. She reached out and touched its foreleg. Warm. Not hot, not dead cold like a statue should be, but sun on your back, campfire on your cheek warm. The same warmth had brushed her skin the moment she stepped through the wall. She backed away. You came back. The voice was quieter this time, less like a whisper, more like a sigh in her chest. Yeah, Lily said, surprising herself. No one answered. She didn't leave. Instead, she opened her sketchbook and sat cross-legged in the grass. Today, she started at the head. The horns were sleek and spiraled, almost like antlers. The snout was regal, even proud. It looked ancient, like it had been waiting long before she was born. When she finally glanced into the eyes, empty sockets carved deep into the metal-like face, her pencil shook. For a heartbeat, the pupils were there. Slitted, red, gone. They left me too, you know. Lily's breath caught. She looked up. No one was there, just the statues around the clearing. One of them, a tall figure with a book in hand, seemed to have shifted, tilted ever so slightly towards her. I used to be soft, flames and flight, but he asked me to stay, to still myself. Lily shut her sketchbook. Her fingers trembled, but not from fear, from something else, recognition. You understand, don't you? The dragon's mouth hadn't moved, but the voice was clearer now, gentle, hollow, like wind through a tunnel, but laced with kindness. Lily closed her eyes. She didn't speak, but she didn't leave either. In here, the dragon said, you never have to go, never have to change. A breeze stirred in the garden. Not cold, not sharp, just warm enough to lift the hair on her arms. The wind didn't come from the trees. It came from the dragon's open mouth. A soft breath, almost like an exhale, and with it came a sound, subtle, sad, crackling, like dry leaves breaking apart. Later, when she'd finally left the garden, Lily couldn't explain the scent on her coat. It wasn't smoke, not quite. It was something older, something like ember and flower petals. Lily stopped going to lunch. She'd sit by the art wing window instead, where no one really noticed her, sketching trees that had never moved and faces she couldn't place. The garden crept into her fingers even when she wasn't there. Her pencil always came out a little darker, her lines a little too perfect. She told no one about the dragon, not her mom who was too tired, not her teacher who just smiled too tightly and gave her extra handouts. And definitely not her classmates who already looked at her as if she was something scraped off the bottom of a paintbrush. When the bell rang on Friday, she didn't go home. She went back. The garden was quieter than usual. Even the birds had stopped their lazy afternoon chirping. Lily stepped through the break in the wall. Ivy scraped her shoulders, but didn't slow her down. She took the familiar path, past the half-cracked angel statue, the bench swallowed by moss, and the sundial that always pointed the wrong way. Today, she didn't go straight to Ashgard. Something pulled her towards the fountain base instead, where tangled vines and dead leaves made a sort of nest beneath his giant clawed hand. She knelt, brushing away the debris, and that's when she found it, a rusted metal box, small enough to hold in both hands, hinged, locked, until she gently pried it open with a cracked stone. Inside was a bundle of yellow papers, sketches mostly, drawings of the garden as it once was, clean, trimmed, full of roses and hedges shaped into butterflies and deer. There were faces, too, some smiling, some closed eyes, and one mistakably like the statue near the sundial. Another drawing was of the dragon, not as a statue, but alive, wings outstretched, fire curling from its throat like ribbon. At the bottom, a signature in neat block letters, T. Marrow, and one folded note sealed with wax, so dried it cracked beneath her thumb. Ashgard, I am sorry, but I couldn't lose them. If they will not stay, I will make them stay. You will help me, won't you? You were born from ember and art. Surely you understand. Beauty should not be fleeting, and love should not walk away. T.M. Lily's stomach twisted. Ashgard wasn't a statue. He had once breathed. She stood quickly, eyes darting across the clearing. The statues looked different now, too detailed, too lifelike. One woman's dress had lace frills so fine you could see the thread. A boy sat reading with one finger still mid-turn on the page. Another had freckles, and a sketchbook balanced on her knees. Lily's own sketchbook trembled in her arms. She opened it. Page after page of drawings stared back. Some she remembered, others swore she didn't make. One was of a girl curled beneath dragon wings, asleep. Another showed the fountain with names etched into the rim, and one page was blank, except for the title, written in her own handwriting, Lily, Before the Fire. That night, Lily didn't sleep well. She heard wind in her room that wasn't wind, and when she woke up, there was ash on her windowsill, just a thin dusting, like something had exhaled softly from inside the glass. Lily stopped pretending she didn't hear the voice. By now, it wasn't just a whisper, it was a presence, familiar, like the rustle of her blanket before sleep, or the low hum of a heater in winter. It never shouted, never demanded, it just invited. They always leave, it muttered one afternoon when Lily's pencil hesitated on the page. But not here, not with me. Lily sat with her back against the dragon's massive side, the metal still radiating with that unnatural warmth. It felt comforting, like the opposite of being alone. The garden was growing fuller, she noticed. Vines climbed higher, flowers bloomed in strange places, out of cracks from the hollow eyes of statues, even the weeds shimmering with a kind of life. And the dragon, Ashgard, was speaking more clearly now. He built this garden so no one would leave him, the sculptor, Thorn. Lily turned her head slowly. You knew him? He made me, not from stone, but from fire and grief, from the breath between endings. The voice filled her, not just her ears, but her spine, her thoughts. He was alone, much like you. Lily didn't answer, because it was true. At school, she was a background blur. At home, a moving box no one had finished unpacking. Even her own mother's voice had become distant, thinner every time she spoke. Here, she was noticed. Here, she was enough. She wandered further into the garden that day, passing statues she hadn't dared look at closely before. One girl held a violin, her fingers poised mid-song. A man with a kind smile leaned against a tree trunk, eyes closed like he was listening to birdsong. Each one had a small plaque beneath it, half swallowed by dirt and time. Elena Marrow, the sound that stayed. Callum Briar, a laugh that never faded. June A, almost seen. Lily froze at that one. June, the girl from school who had stopped coming. She sat behind her in English, said hi once, then disappeared the next week. She stared at the statue. The figure wore a jacket just like June's. Her eyes were carved half open, lips parted like she was about to say something, like she hadn't finished yet. He asked me to hold them, Ashgard whispered, to keep them still so they wouldn't forget him, so he wouldn't forget them. The fountain burbled faintly for the first time. Water didn't flow, but something stirred. Lily took a step back, heart thudding. I only breathe when asked, Ashgard said, but the wind listens, and now so do you. Lily sat by the fountain and opened her sketchbook again. Her pencil moved on its own, not like it was possessed, but like it knew. She drew Thorn, his face hazy, more shadow than man. She drew Ashgard, full and winged, eyes alive with ember light, and she drew herself, teeny by comparison, seated where she was now. When she finished, the wind shifted. The dragon's nostrils glowed faintly red. Would you stay, Lily? The dragon asked. Would you let me remember you? That night she left the garden after dark. Her shoes left no footprints in the grass, and when she looked back through the crumbling wall, the fountain was glowing. She didn't plan on bringing anyone. But when June returned to the school the following Monday, Lily felt her breath catch. Not the statue June, not the one standing near the crooked tree, but June, the real girl, hair up in a messy twist, hoodie sleeves chewed at the cuffs, same lopsided smile, even when it didn't reach her eyes. She wasn't sure how it was possible. Maybe she'd made a mistake. Maybe the statue was someone else. Maybe the garden was playing tricks on her. "Hey," Lily blurted after class, surprising them both. "Want to hang out after school?" June blinked. "Sure." This was the first yes Lily had heard in weeks. They met by the edge of the old street where cracked sidewalk gave way to weeds. "I found something weird," Lily said, trying to sound casual, like really weird. June raised an eyebrow. "Weird how?" Lily didn't answer. She just stepped through the hole in the garden wall. The air was still as they entered. Too still. Even the dragon seemed frozen differently, its mouth slightly wider, its body more coiled, watching. June wrinkled her nose. "This place is creepy." Lily felt a strange twist in her chest. It's not. It's quiet. It notices things. She walked towards the statue of the violin girl. "Look at this one. Doesn't it feel like she was just waiting to move again?" June gave a nervous laugh. "That's morbid." Lily crouched by the fountain's edge. Ashgard loomed behind her, silent, waiting. "She doesn't see," the dragon whispered, its voice pressed low into Lily's bones. "She doesn't feel the stillness. Not yet." Lily glanced at June. "Can't you feel it? The way everything listens here?" June shook her head, edging back. "It's just an abandoned garden, Lily. It's cold, and these statues give me the creeps." Lily stood slowly. Her sketchbook weighed more than usual in her arms. "I feel warm," she said quietly. June gave her a sideways look. "Okay, now you're scaring me." "Let her go," the dragon whispered. "If she doesn't hear me, she doesn't belong." June started walking away. "You know what? I should go. My mom, she's probably wondering where I..." Lily turned away. She didn't mean to leave June alone for long. Just a moment. Just long enough to kneel by the tree and whisper something into the grass. Just long enough to sketch a single new shape at the edge of her page. Just long enough for the wind to change. The garden was silent when she turned back. Too silent. "June?" Lily called. No answer. "June, stop messing around." The statue stood still. A breeze rustled through the vines. Something flaked on the sundial's edge, soft and pale, like ash. Lily walked towards the crooked trees, legs trembling. There, next to the statue of the girl with the violin, was someone new. A figure with sleeves chewed at the cuffs, a hoodie pocket half open, lopsided smile, eyes mid-blink, lips parting to speak. June, but not June. Lily dropped her sketchbook. "You were right," the dragon whispered. She didn't see. Lily took a step back, but her legs refused. She wanted to scream. Instead, she picked up her pencil and began to draw. The garden did not sleep, but Lily did. She hadn't meant to stay after dusk. The shadows had thickened without her noticing, stretching across the stone paths like spilt ink. The air had turned syrupy, sweet and heavy like overripe flowers mixed with smoke. She had curled beneath the arch of the dragon's wing just to rest her eyes, and then she dreamt. It began in silence, then came the wind, not cold or sharp, but warm and low, like the first breath after crying. Ash floated in small spirals across her vision. Not flakes, not dust, memories. They shimmered. She saw a young man, tall, hunched with grief, chiseled fingers in a candlelit greenhouse. His name whispered through her thoughts like a breath against glass. Thorn Marrow. He sculpted the way some people prayed, with desperation. His hand never stopped moving, not even when his eyes did. The dream deepened. Lily floated above the garden, only it wasn't wild anymore, it was radiant. Blossoms bloomed in perfect symmetry. Statues lined every path, each more lifelike than the last. Laughter echoed from the hedges. Then came the dragon, Ashgard, in full form, a creature of ember and breath, not born but summoned, shaped by grief into something living. His body glowed like a furnace held in check. His wings spanned the width of the garden, his mouth pulsed with light. "Help me keep them," Thorn whispered to the dragon. "Help me stop time." Ashgard refused. at first. But Thorn begged, offered him a gift, stillness, permanence, a world without leaving, a place where no one could be forgotten, and finally Ashgard agreed. The first breath turned a woman to ash, not cruelly, not painfully. She simply stopped moving, stilled in the middle of a smile. Her body lightened to sculpture. Her hair flowed like stone in wind. Thorn wept. He called it beautiful. He said he would never be left again. More followed. A friend, a sister, a stranger who wandered too close. Ashgard begged him to stop, but the breath was addictive. Each statue filled the garden, each still soul made Thorn more certain he was doing the right thing, until the day Thorn turned to Ashgard and said, "There's no one left but you and me. Let's make it perfect." He walked to the center of the garden, asked Ashgard to breathe one final time, and became the last statue. Ashgard coiled around the fountain alone and never moved again. Lily awoke with tears on her cheeks. The dragon's head was beside her, resting low in the grass. Its nostrils glowed faintly. "I didn't want to," it said, "but I'm so lonely now." Lily didn't move, not right away. She looked at the garden, the statues, the ivy, the sky that didn't seem to change anymore, and she understood something awful. This was not a place of death. This was a place of memory, trapped. She stood shakily, legs stiff from sleep, and stumbled out of the garden, sketchbook pressed to her chest. At home, she locked the door, she lit a match. She set the sketchbook on a metal tray and tried to burn the last page. The flame licked the edges, but instead of curling into ash, ivy grew. Green vines spiraled from the page, blooming in seconds, wrapping around her wrist. She screamed and threw it across the room. It thudded against the wall and flopped open. A new drawing had appeared. Her, standing still beneath the dragon's wing, a faint smile on her face, eyes closed. Lily didn't go to school the next day or the day after. She told her mother she was sick, and her mother, half listening, already late for a shift, barely looked up from her phone. That was fine. That was how it always was. But inside Lily, everything was not fine. She hadn't touched her sketchbook since it bloomed. She'd buried it in her laundry basket under jackets and jeans, and still she swore she could feel it pulsing, as if it had a heartbeat now. She kept seeing the image in her head, the drawing of herself beneath Ashgard's wing, smiling, still. She didn't remember drawing it, and yet it was perfect. Her hand shaped, her posture, her face, it was her, and it terrified her. That afternoon, she returned to the garden. She told herself it was to end it, to stop whatever had started, to confront the dragon and demand her freedom. But the truth was quieter. She missed the stillness, the warmth, the way the garden made her feel mattered. Ashgard was waiting, coiled exactly as before, but his wings were lower now, curved protectively around the fountain. A statue of June stood just beyond them, eyes forever in mid-blink. The garden had changed again. Vines coiled tighter, flowers bloomed in unnatural shapes, petals like teeth, thorns like ink-dipped quills. The air shimmered with that scent again, ember and memory. "You came back." Lily didn't answer. Her throat was tight. "Did you bring your sketchbook?" She shook her head. A pause. Then, "That's all right. It remembers you." Lily stepped closer to the fountain. The water was moving now, slowly, in circles, like it was stirring itself awake. "I know what you did to them," she said. "To Thorn, to June, to all of them." "I didn't take them," Ashgard whispered. "I held them. They asked to be remembered." "No," she snapped. "They didn't." She stepped forward, fists clenched. "I didn't." Ashgard's breath warmed the air. The wind rolled across her face like a sigh. "But you never said no." Lily spun on her heel and ran, through the overgrown path, past the ivy-covered statues, past the cracked sundial. She didn't stop until she reached the break in the wall, but something was wrong. The hole was gone. Bricks, newly crumbled, had formed a twisted spiral, closed in like a mouth of a snail shell. The exit had sealed behind her. "Please don't go," the dragon said. She fell to her knees, gasping. "I don't want you to fade." She sobbed. She was tired of being invisible, of being left, of loving things that didn't love her back. The garden noticed her. Ashgard loved her. in the only way he knew. "You don't have to change anymore," he whispered. "You don't have to fear growing up or away. You can stay here. Forever." Lily wiped her tears, stood, and walked back towards the fountain. Ashgard lifted his head as she approached, eyes faintly glowing, like coals in the heart of a dying fire. She stood before him, unmoving. "I want to draw one more thing," she whispered. Ashgard bowed his head, his breath stirring the grass. It had found her way into her coat pocket and opened her sketchbook. The page was blank. She began to draw herself, and this time she was smiling. The garden was silent, not empty, never empty, but still in that ancient watching way, the kind of stillness that felt aware. Lily stood beneath the arch of Ashgard's wing, her breath shallow, her heartbeat slow. Her sketchbook was open in her hands, pages fluttering gently in the breeze that never touched the trees. Ashgard's head lowered to meet her gaze. "Are you ready?" His voice held no urgency, no push, only the quiet gravity of something that had waited centuries and would wait centuries more. Lily looked down at the final drawing she had made. There she was, drawn in her own careful hand, standing beside the fountain, her arms tucked against her chest, her eyes closed as if listening to something far away. The pencil lines were soft, almost hesitant. Her figure seemed to glow, even though she hadn't used any color. The strange thing was, she didn't remember finishing it, but she didn't need to. She traced the curve of the dragon's tail on the page with one fingertip and felt it rise, warm and pulsing, beneath her touch, like the garden itself was woven into the paper. Then, gently, she let the sketchbook fall to the ground. It landed open. The pages didn't curl. Ashgard exhaled. The breath was not fire. It was heat without flame, light without burn. It washed over her skin like a lullaby you forgot you knew. It seeped into her bones, soft and slow, whispering 1,000 silent promises. You won't be forgotten. You won't be left behind. You will be a part of something beautiful. Lily's legs folded beneath her. She knelt in the grass, her eyes never leaving Ashgard's. "Will it hurt?" she asked, voice barely more than air. "Only for a moment," he said, "and then not at all." He bent closer, his great head almost brushing her shoulder. "You will stay, and I will remember, and that will be enough." The warmth deepened, wrapping around her like a weighted blanket. She felt her thoughts slow, her worries quiet, her ache to belong settle into something solid. She closed her eyes. Ash curled around her fingertips, her lashes, her smile. It was not death, it was stillness. Total, internal. And it was beautiful. When the wind faded, the garden did not sigh, it simply waited. Ashgard lifted his head, smoke trailing faintly from his nostrils. He did not weep, he did not speak. He only curled tighter around the fountain. One wing curved protectively over the new statue beside him. Lily stood there, forever mid-breath, her sketchbook open in her hands. Her face was serene, her smile remained unfinished. Seasons changed, rain fell, but nowhere near where she stood. Snow drifted through the trees, but melted before it kissed her shoulders. The ivy grew longer. The garden grew quieter, and still the dragon waited. For what? Even he never knew. One day, years later, something rustled in the woods. A kite fluttered through the trees, snagging briefly on a crooked branch before spinning over the top of the garden wall. A small figure chased it, laughing, not yet afraid, bare feet skimming across the roots. He paused at the wall, touched the ivy, felt warmth, and saw a hole just wide enough to slip through. The child hesitated, watching something move in the shadows. Not a person, not a creature, a shimmer, a breath, and then they stepped inside. And so the garden grew, not with petals, not with weeds, but with silence and memory and ash. Dragons are one of the oldest creatures in human storytelling, appearing in myths from every corner of the world, but they're not all the treasure-hoarding, fire-breathing monsters we see in the movies. In Chinese mythology, dragons are wise and powerful, often tied to weather, rivers, and memory. They guard ancient knowledge, and some legends say they can even control time. In European tales, dragons are fierce and fiery, hoarding gold, guarding ruins, and haunting mountains. But in older, darker folklore, their breath wasn't always meant to burn. It was meant to bind. Some stories say that certain dragons could exhale a warm, shimmering wind that didn't destroy flesh, but preserved it forever. Villagers would find travelers frozen mid-step, hands reaching out, faces calm turned to ash and stone, as if dreaming with their eyes open. Over time, moss would grow on them, and no one could remember who they were. So next time you see a statue in a garden, ask yourself, what made it? Or what left it behind? Some gardens bloom with petals, others bloom with secrets, but this garden, it bloomed with silence. Lily never screamed, she didn't run, she simply stepped closer, because sometimes the deepest horror isn't being chased, it's being welcomed. A voice that understands your loneliness, a place that promises you'll never be forgotten, a place that wraps around you and says, stay, just like this, forever. That's the danger of beauty that doesn't change. That's the danger of remembering too well. Because even the kindest of dragons can love you too much. If you enjoyed this story, please take a moment to like, share, and follow Sleep Tight Frights wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every listen helps the shadows grow stronger and keeps the stories alive. Thank you for listening to Sleep Tight Frights. It means more than you know, to us and to the things that listen back. I'm Evergrey, your guide through the shadows, and if you felt something was watching as the story unfolded, you're not alone. They remember the ones who listen, they wait for the ones who return. So come back soon. Sleep tight if you can.